Things have taken a shocking turn as we have a brand new report and some breaking news that has dropped surrounding Chris Paul and the Los Angeles Lakers. Some crazy news to go over today. We're diving into that and how it changes everything for the Lakers going forward. A ton of other things to go over today, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. Anytime Lakers news drops, this is the place to be for everything Lakers related. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of breaking news and news that drops, we just had a bit of a bombshell comment from Chris Paul himself that came out as it pertains to Los Angeles. And this is not the video I was expecting to make, but of course, with the Lakers in a very interesting spot, they need bench pieces, they need a center. And this isn't a center today. It is Chris Paul. As this just dropped an hour or so ago. Chris Paul and his family live in LA, and it sounds like he wants to end his career in Los Angeles. I talked to my family about it. My son is 16, my daughter is 12. The past 6 seasons, I have lived without them. I've been away from them the past 6 years. That's the conversation. If you actually read the interview, he wants to return to a Los Angeles team. Now, of course, that leaves two. It leaves the Clippers and it leaves the Lakers. And this has sparked a ton of rumors and reports over the past hour surrounding Chris Paul and the Lakers. And of course, he's coming off of a season where he played majority of the games for the San Antonio Spurs. All these different things are happening. And one of the more interesting things is how he would fit with the Lakers now, because the Lakers' number one priority is not Chris Paul. It is a center and it is a 3-and-D wing. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't other holes to fill in this roster. They don't really have a fantastic backup point guard as of right now. Of course, they've been using Gabe Vincent, Austin Reaves, been commanding the bench unit last year, all these different things. But bringing in a veteran, friends with LeBron, a winner, arguably friends with LeBron, depending on, I guess, who you ask, but it would be very intriguing. And again, Chris Paul and his family, the exact quote was, I talked to my family about it, and again, they're young. He wants to end his career in Los Angeles. You can see this here. CP3 to the Lakers confirmed. It has just spewed a bunch of reports and rumors. Now, do the Clippers make more sense? Probably. The Clippers probably make more sense than the Lakers at this point, simply because of the cap situation, but also how the Lakers are prioritizing this offseason. But at the same time, if you can bring in Chris Paul to help mentor Luka Doncic, to help mentor some of the young guys that they're going to be bringing in, whether that be at the draft and with their second-round pick, whether that be, just some of the young guys in the team, it makes a ton of sense for the Lakers if you can get him for nothing, especially if he wants to play for an LA team, because of course he lives in LA, his family's in LA. I think at this juncture, folks, this might be one of the more likely outcomes here is, Chris Paul going to the Lakers. And it's a little bit surprising because we haven't heard much about it. There was some rumblings over the past few weeks surrounding specifically Chris Paul and the Lakers, but nothing that was super concrete. Of course, with this comes a lot of question marks about what other moves are going to make, all these different things. But all these reports now are starting to fly, confirming, Chris Paul to the Lakers. Now, of course, at this juncture, is anything confirmed? No. But it seems like he wants to, live in LA. He wants to end his career in LA. And as a result, he's going to go ahead and it's interesting. Now, looking at his stats, of course, he is not the player he once was. He is quite, he's on the older side. He's approaching 40. Will be 40 by the time he plays with the Lakers. 8 points a game last year, 9 points a game the year before, 13 the year before. He was really effective up until, you could argue last year he was still an effective player. He put up 8 points a game, but he also played all 82 games in the regular season, which is crazy. Of course, he was brought in by the Spurs to, in theory, help, develop Victor Wembanyama and things like that. But he's still a very solid facilitator, and he's still a very solid, defender at times as well. He is obviously a lot slower now. He's not going to be a defender who necessarily is going to be quite as fast as he was back in his day, in his prime. But the Clippers, of course, he played 5 or 6 years in LA with the Clippers, and that's also the reason why it's the most likely spot. Of course, he's familiar there, familiar with, just the way that organization operates. But in the same vein, at the same time, you're also thinking about it from the perspective of, if you're the Lakers, you can still use, a backup point guard in theory. Now, let's look at who they have right now. Gabe Vincent, Jordan Goodwin, those are basically the two guards that they have. Goodwin's a shooting guard, more of a rebounder. He's not going to be a backup point guard. Gabe Vincent, he was their backup point guard last year, the Lakers, that is. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that he is going to be the answer going forward. He's been involved in a ton of different trade rumors, a ton of different conversations, because specifically, of course, Gabe Vincent makes enough salary, the mid-level exception when he was signed by the Lakers. He took up the full mid-level exception. He is going to make, he makes a lot of money. So in any trade, whether that be with Dalton Knecht, whether that be for a guy like, Mark Williams, like the one they made at the trade deadline, but also, of course, other trades specifically regarding, even just anybody that the Lakers, Nick Claxton is the biggest obvious answer for that. They're going to give up guys like Gabe Vincent, guys like Maxi Kleber even to help fill salary. And that's something that at this point makes a ton of sense for this team to trade those guys rather than keep them. So if you're getting rid of Gabe Vincent in this hypothetical, Chris Paul would make some sense. Let me know right now, do you think, A, even if Chris Paul is a better option than Gabe Vincent as it stands right now, and B, do you think Chris Paul makes sense for this team? Obviously, I think depending on the fit, like should not be a priority. A priority has to be a center number one, a 3-and-D wing number two. But at the same time, as you start to look at things going forward here, they have other holes to fill. Backup point guard if you trade Gabe Vincent, and adding talent like that, even though he is older, I mean, you can't really go wrong if it would be for, the league minimum, the veteran minimum, something like that. He still averaged 28 minutes a game last year. He's still trying to play. Think back to his time with the Warriors. He played with the Suns for a while and they were trying to win. He was ninth in MVP voting just 3 or 4 years ago. Like, he still has some stuff left in the tank. Is it going to be the player he was younger in his career? Absolutely not. Of course, he's approaching 40 and will be 40 years old, I believe, by the time the season starts. But he wants to stay in LA. There's rumors about him going to LA. Team up with LeBron James, something they haven't done before. It would be very interesting, especially with all the battles LeBron and Chris Paul have had throughout their careers and all the things like that. But also to help mentor and play alongside Luka Doncic, play the backup point guard role off the bench. Maybe if they go to the avenue of trading Austin Reaves, which doesn't seem likely at this point. But if they do go that avenue, having a bench guard could help as well. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on all of this. Some crazy news just came out. But let's dive into some other things here now. And just some interesting conversation points. I saw this tweet by Clutch. Where do you think where do you rank the Lakers trio amongst other trios in the NBA? Now, of course, the trio of Luka, Reaves, and LeBron James. And I want you guys to do some thinking and let me know down below in the comment section where you would rank them. Of course, there's a lot of great trios in the NBA. I mean, you think about the Celtics trio when healthy, Tatum, Brown, and Drew Holiday. You think about a lot of the trios. I mean, OKC you can make a 5-man with them. There's a lot of different trios there. There's a lot, of course, other teams that have really good trios. But at the end of the day, I mean, Luka, Austin Reaves, LeBron have to be one of, if not the best in the NBA when they are effective, right? When they are all healthy. And I think having a full offseason of Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic to just play together and grow together will do wonders for, everybody, especially Austin Reaves, who had a bit of a tough stretch against the Minnesota Timberwolves in that playoff series. That's well documented. But of course, at that point, Timberwolves aren't a great answer for him. Also, I want to throw this out to you guys in the comment section. Andrew Wiggins. There's been a lot of rumblings about trying to acquire Andrew Wiggins. Is that something you guys would like to do? Of course, Clutch goes on to say he allows us to keep Austin Reaves while adding offensive prowess with shot creation and spacing. He fixes their overabundance of power forwards. It would be interesting. I think it could make some sense, especially with the player he's developed into as a defensive-minded wing. If the cost is cheap, I'd be all for it. I mean, a Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins offseason would be pretty interesting, especially if you get a center to go alongside them. I think they're going to go with more veteran threats here going forward. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on all that. Of course, as well as the Chris Paul scenario, a very interesting one. Things have taken a turn. We're going to keep you up to date with all the latest Lakers news, so make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on all of this.